Hello everyone, it's Jotto and welcome to the Hearthstone Weekly Show. Now for this week I'm doing spoilers on my own. There are 14 of them. And depending on how long this video lasts, it's either going to be one video or two. If it's over an hour, I'm splitting it into two. If it's under an hour, I am not. So that's basically how I'm going to do it. Which does mean for the set review, which is probably going to be 4, maybe 5 hours long, knowing me when I get a guest on. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of episodes. So I guess, I'm episoding it out because it means that if you want to watch, if you want to just watch both in a row, that's fine. You get the same analysis that you want. However, if you're the kind of person who doesn't want to sit around for 3 hours watching someone talk in a row, just watch one part, come back later, watch the second part. That's basically how I'm doing it. So if this video goes over an hour, I'll close out the show, and then I'll record another one tomorrow with the rest of the cards. That's basically how I'm going to do it. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the Snow Chugger, the first of 14 cards. They've been going crazy in terms of spoilers for this week, and we also have 2 on vote right now, which is Bolivar and Mal'Ganis. Personally, I would like to see Bolivar, however I voted for Mal'Ganis. Why? Because I don't want to see another Paladin card, because the Paladin cards have been not that good so far. And, alright, correction, they've been good. They still don't deal with Undertaker or Mechwarper. So I don't really want to see Paladin cards until they give us a way of dealing with Mechwarper and Undertaker. But anyway, Snow Chugger. Snow Chugger is a 2-mana 2/3 mech common for Mage with the Water Elemental effect. Freeze any character damaged by this minion. Now, it is true that if you get a taunt, if you get like an Annoyatron out, then you get an attack in with your Snow Chugger and they can't kill it, you will lock them out of the game. If they're playing Warrior or Druid, not so much. Playing Warrior, Hunter, maybe. Not Shaman, because they have 15 ways of killing 2/3s. So it's at its best against Warrior. It's probably at its worst against Shaman, but it's definitely a good card overall, just based on the effect. The effect itself is a good effect. What it's most likely going to be doing is stopping you from getting 2-for-1s in a row with your weapons. So you play Fiery War Axe, you kill the Snow Chugger, then you can't kill whatever he plays with the Fiery War Axe. You're frozen for a turn, so you can't do anything. So, very, very good against Warriors. As for the body itself, 2-mana 2/3 mech, very good. Very, very good. Mechwarper stats, works with Mechwarper, very good card. And in Arena, it's going to be a premium common. Not as good as a 3/2 because it doesn't put as much pressure on. However, if you're playing as a weapon class and you play this and they don't have a response, you lock them out of their weapons. That's a big deal in Arena. When you're playing as weapon classes like Warrior and Paladin, which have True Silver, Death Spite, they have some powerful weapons. And you lock them out of that, and that's a big deal. Not to mention, 2-drops, very good in that format. 3/2s are better because they apply more pressure and they're better at trading up. However, 2/3s, still decent. In Constructed, I will say that if Paladin becomes good, which I actually don't see it doing at the moment, you can just stuff your deck through a 2/3s and you will win against Paladin every single time. But 2/3 is arguably better than 3/2 in Constructed. You are playing it in Mage, which means you can use Snow Chugger to trade with something and then hero power it. I think 2/3s are going to be very, very powerful in the classes that can ping. So Rogue and Druid and Mage can use them the best because you can actually attack into a 2/3 and then ping. But then the 3/2s may also be getting much, much stronger because you can attack into the new 3/4s like Spider Tank and then kill it off, because Spider Tank and Harvest Golem are going to be like the standard for a number of health on a 3-drop, so you can actually just trade it up. So I think the pinging hero power is going to matter a lot. However, 2/3s still very, very good on the body. 2-mana 2/3 mech, good card overall. Whirling Zap-O-Matic, 2-mana 3/2 with Wind Fury. It is a mech and is a Shaman card at common. Now, something funny about this is a teammate of mine, Zimwana, called this card exactly. He said 2-mana 3/2 Wind Fury like 2 months ago. We were just like, nah, it's not going to happen. This is 2-mana 3/2 with Wind Fury. I called Spider Tank, he called Whirling Zap-O-Matic. That's basically how it goes. But anyway, how good this card is difficult to describe. In Arena, it's ridiculous. ridiculous. Like Knife Juggler ridiculous. Because it's a 3-2 for 2, and if they play a guy, you attack them for 3, and then you attack the guy and kill it. You can play it with Flame Tongue, which is insane, and if they don't have a drop, and you play Whirling Zaphomatic on turn 1, and they don't have any early drops, they just take 12. They straight up take 12 from a 2-drop. It does so much damage if they don't have any early drops. In Constructed, however, there's going to be a lot more early drops, a lot more removal. However, Whirling Zaphomatic does mean that you can play it with your Mech Warper, and if they kill the Mech Warper, they take a bunch of damage, and if they kill the Whirling Zaphomatic, you win the game because Mech Warper's on the board. So, it does present an interesting situation for Shaman decks that are running mechs. It also means that Shaman can use Flame Tongue to their advantage, and Whirling Zaphomatic can take out a huge chunk of their life, or just trade up and deal a bunch of damage. It also means that Flame Tongue is going to help out with the 2-3 battles because you can trade up. You can trade a 2-3 into a 3-4, which is a big deal. And along with all the 3 damage spells, I think Shaman is going to be very well positioned for mech wars, basically, going into Goblins and Gnomes. I'm not sure how good Whirling Zaphomatic will be in Constructed, but I think it's pretty good. It goes in the pile of 15,000 Shaman cards that answer 2-3s. And I think it's a very good card, but we'll have to see just how good it is. On to Gazrilla, the Hydra, Hunter Legendary. This is a 7-mana 6/9 beast. Whenever this minion takes damage, double its attack. Straight up, double. Now, if you double it once, it goes to 12. If you double it twice, it goes to 24. Now, 24 attack is basically the game if you get 24 attack on a Gazrilla. 12 is a big chunk, especially considering you're playing Hunter. Basically, if this gets to attack and you can damage it, you won the game. However, getting it to attack may be harder than it looks. Sure, it has 9 health, so you're not really going to be trading into this, but it does die to hard removal pretty badly. Shadow or Death and Assassinate and things like that, they take it out with no drawback. There's no Death Rattle like there is on Savannah Highmane. However, if you curve Highmane into Gazrilla, then unless they have 2 hard removal, they are getting wrecked by one of those cards. So we'll have to see if that curve works. I think Gazrilla will not be a finisher in the faster decks because Highmane tops out those decks. But in terms of mid-range decks, I think he's very good. There's a bit more support for Hunter mid-range and the other 2 cards as well. The Sniper is very good in mid-range, we'll get to him later, and Cool Pet may be enough draw redundancy to actually get there. What do I mean by that? You have Tracking, Flare, Cool Pet now. You can actually run 6 draw spells. So if you're running a little bit low on card density that can actually support a mid-range shell, you can run 6 draw spells. I'm not sure if that's optimal, but I think it's possible. And that's something to note. So Gazrilla, pretty good. Not sure exactly how good. I know that if you damage him twice, which you can with Wild Pyromancer, you can go Wild Pyromancer, draw spell, Hunter's Mark, and you just wipe out their taunt, deal 24 to them, and you basically just won the game. The problem is getting him to stick a turn. I think it's going to happen enough where you get to stick him for 1 turn that it's going to work. I mean, Ragnaros, for example, gets stuck a lot, and he dies to Big Game Hunter as well. And he's a turn slower. So I think Gazrilla fits in a really, really good niche that's probably going to see a lot of play. In terms of arena, it's basically in the same pile as Foe Reaper, where you just pick him and then you win a bunch of games. It's a ridiculous arena card. Way better than King Crush, that's for sure, in terms of arena and constructed. So good one on the Hunter Legendary here. Very, very fun card. For all those people who love big numbers, a very, very fun card with this effect, but may also be good enough for competitive play. Burly Rockjaw Drog, a card that is not good enough for competitive play. This is a 4-mana 3/5 common with your opponent. Whenever your opponent casts a spell, gain 2 attack. Now, there's a couple things wrong with this. The first one is that it dies to Shadow Word Pain. And before anyone says the attack goes up, that's not how Hearthstone triggers work. Shadow Word Pain will just be able to target it, and then it will destroy it no matter what happens. This actually does come up sometimes, but it's really awkward. So you basically, the whole thing is that you can Shadow Word Pain or Death anything. It doesn't matter what happens to it when you play it. So this dies to Shadow Word Pain, making it bad against priests. It also dies to Shadow Word Death, making it miserable against priests. I mean, you have to play a spell first, but that's not difficult. So you play your Power Word Shield, and then you Shadow Word Death it if you don't have the Shadow Word Pain. So it is straight up the worst 4-drop in the game against Priest. That's just for sure. On top of things, you can actually use Cabal on it with Shrinkmeister later on in the game. So, miserable against Priest. Past that. Against Druid, they just trade with it. Against Paladin, they trade with it because they're using weapons. Same with Warrior. Mage can hero power ping it, so they can just trade with it very easily. It's just not a good card. It's a 4-mana 3/5. It may be a 5/5 at some point, but usually it's going to be a 5/5 just before it dies. So they're going to fireball it or something, and then it's going to die as a 5/5, and it's going to be happy. In Arena, it's not a terrible pick. Why? Because it is a 3/5 for 4. That might be a 5/5. Problem is, generally, they're going to remove it, so it may be good in Arena. We'll have to see, but I think it's just straight worse than a Yeti most of the times, because if they're trading, it's really, really bad for you, because this thing does not have high attack. The other miserable thing about 3/5s is they don't kill Spider Tank or Dark Cultist anymore, making this even worse against Priest, unbelievably. So I don't like this card, don't think it's very good in either Arena or Constructed. Slightly better in Arena because stats to cost matter a little bit more in that format, but I still think it's pretty bad. Ogre Ninja! First of all, this is the funniest card in the entire game. So it's a 5-mana 6/6 Ogre Ninja with Stealth and has the Ogre effect. This is the new thing, the Ogre effect. 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy. We saw this on Ogre Mole. It's going to be a thing on every single class by the looks of it. We saw one for Shaman, Warrior, and Rogue. The funniest thing about this card, before I get onto any playability of any kind, it is an Ogre. Its name is Ogre Ninja. It has Stealth, being an Ogre somehow. And if you look at the art, it's pretending to be a tree. It is standing in front of a tree, and it has 2 branches. It's like the best, it's the best flavor on a card in the entire game. It's hilarious. But in terms of actual playability, 5-mana 6/6, in Arena this thing's crazy because no matter what it hits, it's going to destroy on curve, although it does get outclassed a little bit later on. However, in Rogue, it means you can kill Boulder Fist Ogres because you hero power. It's taking 6 for it, but it's okay. It also has Stealth, so it will always attack. In Constructed, at first I was thinking it's not that good because Stranglethorn Tiger exists and that card isn't that good. However, I did realize a couple of things. The first thing is that the curve in Constructed stops at 5/5. With the exception of Giants, it stops at 5/5, which means this will completely annihilate whatever it hits, no matter what stage of the game it is. The only thing bigger than this is Ragnaros, basically, besides the Giants and Handlock, obviously. But I don't think Rag is going to be very good after Goblins and Gnomes because there's just going to be so many more. There's just going to be so many better alternatives. So I don't think Rag is going to be very good. So you're not going to have to worry about Rag hitting this thing in stealth. The other thing is that it has a 50% chance to not hit what it's supposed to. So it's a coin flip, not a 1 in 5 or 6 or something like Rag is. And it can also hit stealth minions, and it can just go straight past taunts. So it's an interesting card. I'm not sure how much of a drawback the Ogre effect is. We're going to have to play with it before we can figure it out. I think this is the best of the 3 Ogre cards we've seen so far, by quite a long shot actually. And it may see some play in Constructed simply because it hits so hard. But we'll have to see. I mean, Rogue is also the control class, which means you can play this and then just attack them for 6 if they're the only thing on the board. It doesn't matter about the effect, it's just a 5-mana 6/6. Way better than the Annabelle Ambusher, which is what they got. They got that 4-mana 5/5. I don't know why Rogues are getting, like, undercosted big guys with drawbacks. That's just weird to me. But that was the 4-mana 5/5, which wasn't very good. I think this is much, much better than the Annabelle Ambusher. On to the other Ogre. As you see, I'm going through these in chronological order in terms of spoiling. 4-mana 5/4 Dune Mole Shaman, Wind Fury, Overload 1, with the Ogre effect, 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy. This card is really, really bad. Okay, it's not that really bad. It's close to being really, really, really bad. In Arena, it's a 5-mana. In Arena, it's a 4-mana 5/4. Sure, it trades up. However, it might attack the wrong thing and has Overload and it's still awkward. Better in Arena than it is in Constructed because stats to cost. Problem is in constructed that it has a 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy, which means it will probably trade with anything, and then it won't get the Wind Fury attack. You have a 25% chance to not lose your Shaman when you attack with it. That's kind of awkward. Not to mention 4 health, not that hard to reach in terms of constructed. There's so many removal spells that get rid of this. Anything from Spell Power Bolt to, I mean, just in Shaman, to the new Crackle spell, to Rock Biter on a 1/1. And then for Druid, you've got Swipe, and there's True Silver, Death Spite. There's so many ways of killing this. Frostbolt Ping. There's so many ways of killing this, it's insane. So, I don't really like this card. I don't think it will see any play, and I just don't think it's good at all. Moving on to another card I don't think is good. This actually might bring back the video length a little bit, because there's a lot of cards that are really bad this week. Sabotage. 4 mana, Rogue Epic. Destroy a random enemy minion. Combo, and your opponent's weapon. That's just funny wording, by the way. Combo, and the opponent's weapon. This card is terrible. No, I'm just saying it. Destroy a random minion. Alright, the combo upside will probably come up very, very little. It does mean that if you're running this, you don't have to run Harrison or anything. But the problem is that if this was Deadly Shot, it'd be way better. Just way better. Because you can prep it. But even then, I'm not sure how good a Deadly Shot effect is in Rogue. Sap just feels kind of maybe better. So, I don't like this at all. It's going to be really bad against the Swarm minions. I don't think it's going to be very cost effective at all. It's good against Handlock, obviously, but then if they taunt up, it's bad. So, I really don't like this card. I don't think it will see much play, and it just seems kind of miserably bad. And in Arena, I don't like Deadly Shot effects that much. But even then, this is an epic as well, and it's kind of awkward. So, I don't really like the card. Demon Heart, 5 mana. Warlock Epic. Deal 5 damage to a minion. If it is a friendly demon, give it +5/+5 instead. Now, first of all, I want to clear something up. This will not hit Doomguard. If Doomguard doesn't discard this, then you're not playing it in an aggressive deck. Now, what this does do is it's a removal spell. It's also a buff. So this is way better than most just straight buff cards. However, it's exclusive to demons, which means this will probably only be hitting Void Walkers and Void Callers realistically. The way I'm going to put this is, if you're playing a demon deck, this kind of fits in the cool pet side of things. If there's a demon deck, this will be in it, and it will be good in that deck, because it is a removal spell that also can buff if you need it to. It's not a buff spell that removes, it's a removal spell that buffs. It's actually quite a big difference. It will most likely be removing a lot of the time. The fact that you can do both is really important. So if there's a demon deck, I think this will be in it. However, it's not very good on Goblins and Gnomes, unless there is a good demon deck, which is going to be quite surprising, I think, because there's all the mechs and it doesn't really buff enough, and I'd rather be running Siphon Soul or just Soulfire to kill those things. So I don't really like Demon Heart now, but it may be good in the future. Not really much to talk about. It's just kind of an interesting card that's probably going to be much, much better in the future as opposed to now. Feign Death, a card that's going to be good in the future and now. This card is ridiculous. So, 2 mana, Feign Death is a Hunter Epic. Trigger all the death rattles on your minions. Now, just a bit of a rules clarification here. Trigger means that the death rattles all activate. And they stay there. The death rattles are still on the minions. They don't die. They don't do anything. So you play Mad Scientist, Feign Death. You get a trap from your deck. And then if the Mad Scientist dies, you get another trap from your deck. So Feign Death basically just triggers all the death rattles and you get a million bits of value. First of all, this is basically Reincarnate, but for your whole board. It doesn't have as much utility as Reincarnate, but the fact it can be used on everything is just way better. You can use this in a mid-rangey deck, that's what I was talking about. You can use it on High Main, and you can use it on Sylvanas, Cairn, I don't think Cairn will see play. Use it on the Piloted Shredders, you can use it on Mad Scientist, Loot Hoarder, like Haunted Creepers, Web Spinners. There's a ridiculous amount of death rattles. So, Feign Death, very, very good card. You can do some silly combos with it, like with Explosive Sheep. You can run Explosive Sheep, and you can just go Explosive Sheep, Feign Death, and it does 4 AoE. It's an organized circle combo. That's insane. It's absolutely ridiculous that that even works that way, because what happens is that you play Explosive Sheep, you play Feign Death, the Explosive Sheep triggers its own Death Rattle, so the 2 damage AoE triggers the Death Rattle on the sheep a second time, because it kills it. So you deal 4 AoE, and you get all the other Death Rattles twice. Not to mention, it's better than 4 AoE. What do I mean? It goes through Divine Shield, it goes through Haunted Creeper, it goes through, I mean, it doesn't go through the Shredder cards, because it doesn't do quite enough damage, but it basically goes through Haunted Creeper, it goes through Divine Shields, it goes through the Death Rattles, it goes through pretty much everything. It's such a ridiculous control card combination there that it's just insane. Not to mention, you can use it with a Gazrilla on the board and just wipe his board and then hit him for 24 damage. Is it 24? Yes, 24. So I think Feign Death, mid-range, very powerful card. Aggro, I think it's okay. But in mid-range, it's ridiculous. You can use it with Explosive Sheep, you can use it with all the Death Rattles, you can use it with pretty much everything. And it's just insane. Being able to trigger Death Rattles on demand is so important in Hunter. I mean, you can do it with what's it called? You can do it with Shaman as well. You can do a 4 damage AoE to everything, but in Shaman that's worse. Why? Because you have a board most of the time, and you also have access to Lightning Storm. But Feign Death can be used not just for that, but it can be used when you're ahead to get more ahead. So you can use it when you're behind, you can use it when you're ahead, you can use it in aggro, mid-range, control. It's just insane. It does everything Reincarnate does, but way better. And Reincarnate has some interesting tricks with it. Feign Death, way stronger version than Reincarnate, and it has some extra tools to play with in Explosive Sheep and also some of the new Death Rattle cards. So absolutely insane card. It also means you can just trigger spare parts of things randomly and get them immediately. So there's a couple weird things with this. It's just a ridiculous card. You should see a lot of play. I'm going to be doing some serious Hunter mid-rangey stuff, quite frankly. I mean, I love deck building, so I'm going to have a field day with Goblins and Gnomes. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll probably be churning out deck techs quite frequently, I should imagine. And most of them are going to be terrible. I'm going to look at it like 2 months later and I'm going to be laughing at myself, but I'll still be churning them out. And Hunter is one of those classes I'm really excited to try out, because so far we've got both of their epics and their legendary, and I'm really excited just from those cards. We haven't got any of their commons or rares yet. And Feign Death, very, very good card, very, very exciting card. Along with Gazrilla, it's a card which is good and constructed, good for fun stuff, and it's just really cool. It's not very good in Arena, which is kind of funny, but it's not good in Arena, but it's good in Constructed. It's very, very good in Constructed, and I think it's also one of the more fun cards they've released, because even if it isn't very good in Constructed, you can build ridiculous decks with it and just have a blast. And that's 2 things which I love about some Hearthstone cards, that competitive players can have fun, and so can Euro players. Like, I've been playing some Miracle Druid recently, and the deck is good, but it's also just really fun to play. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in Hearthstone, and that's, I think, what sets the game apart, and this card really does sum that up in a nutshell. So, moving on to a slightly less exciting card, Little Exorcist, which is abbreviated from Little Exorcist. This is a 3-mana 2/3 with Taunt. Battle Cry, gain +1/+1 for each enemy, not all, enemy Death Rattle. Now, at first I thought this was terrible, because I thought it wasn't a Battle Cry, I thought it was a persistent effect, which would have been horrible. But no, it's a Battle Cry, it's way better than it first looked. And a lot of people immediately said, good against Hunter. That's the funny thing. This is good against everything that isn't Hunter Death Rattle. Why? I mean, it's good against Hunter Death Rattle, but not by much. And the reason for it is because Hunter has access to 15 ways of getting past this. They have Iron Beak Owl. They have Kill Command, which will basically always kill this thing. They have Eaglehorn Bow plus their Death Rattle to kill it, and then they keep their Eaglehorn Bow, probably get some value off their Death Rattle, and then they play the Undertaker. They have Freezing Trap, so you can't attack with it ever. They just have a bunch of ways of dealing with it. However, against Zoo, it's really good because they have so many Death Rattles that just sit around waiting for activators like Nerubian Egg and Haunted Creeper, so you just get a bunch of extra health on this taunt, and then it takes you into the mid game, into Sludge Belcher territory. So it's a very, very good card against Zoo. Very, very good against things like Priest, if you get it to 4 attack, or even 5 if they have to Shadow or Death this, it's miserable. So very, very good against Priest if you get up there. They may have to Shrink Meister and also use Shadow Word Pain to get past this if you get 2 activations, which is very, very good value on a 3-drop. So I think this card is quite good. It's not really that good against Hunter by comparison to other things. I think it's still good against Hunter, just not as much as people are hyping it up to be. But I think it's a general good card. It's definitely a very good sideboard card against Death Rattles if you're allowed to sideboard in tournaments. And I could definitely see it being run in an anti-aggro list that just wants to beat the Death Rattle decks consistently. Now, moving on to the Scarlet Purifier. Now, the Scarlet Purifier is a 3-mana 4/3 Paladin card, and I've just tabbed down. Okie dokie. So, the Scarlet Purifier is a 3-mana 4/3, good start, Paladin card, bad finish there, with Battle Cry. Deal 2 damage to all the minions with Death Rattle. It's a rare. Now, I have a few problems with this card, and I also like this card a lot. In Arena, first of all, it's crazy because you can deal random damage to Death Rattle creatures, and also it's a 3-mana 4/3, which curves into your True Silver. I think it's very, very good. In Constructed, however, a lot of people are saying, hey, it beats Undertaker. No, it doesn't. It does not kill Undertaker. It can't. Basically, what happens when you play Scarlet Purifier is you play it, you kill the Death Rattle, they play Bow, and then they kill your Scarlet Purifier. It's just miserable. So that's basically what happens there. It also does not affect Mech Warper in any way, shape, or form. Now, on top of this, there's a couple other awkward things with this, which results in it not being a defensive card against Death Rattles, because weirdly enough, this thing's best application, in my opinion, is to trigger your own Nerubian Eggs. I think triggering your own Nerubian Eggs turn 3, make a 4/4 and a 4/3 is very powerful. However, it also means that this card is not very good against Zoo. In fact, it's miserable against Zoo, and I would actually play it with no value, because if you kill Haunted Creeper, they get 2 1/1s, which is better than a 1/2, and then if you kill a Nerubian Egg, you're actually crying. So it's not good. It's just not good against Zoo. It's horrible against Zoo, apart from the fact that it's a 3-drop. But it's just not good against Zoo. It's good if you're playing Nerubian Eggs and a couple other enablers. I could see it in an Undertaker aggressive deck. It's kind of weird if you put it that way, but yeah, I could see it in an Undertaker aggressive deck. You can trigger your own Death Rattles at will. But I'm not sure this is very good. I don't think it is. It looks way, way better than it actually is. However, it might be good based on its stats. Its stats are very good. However, it's not an Aldor Peacekeeper. It's nowhere near an Aldor Peacekeeper in terms of power level. Aldor Peacekeeper is one of the best 3-drops in the game. This is not one of... It's nowhere near that power level. So, it's good with Nerubian Egg. Very good with Nerubian Egg. It's not fantastic against Death Rattles, because everything you want to kill that becomes worse when it dies has more than 2 health. You can use it to augment your consecrations, I guess, but it's still awkward. I'm not sure I really like this card. We'll have to see, but I think its best application is with your own Nerubian Eggs. Oh, I've only got 3 cards left, so this video not as long as I thought it would be. I guess adding an extra person really does have that much of an impact. Crackle, 2 mana, Shaman spell, common, deal 3, 2/6, because RNG, overload 1. Where do I start with this thing? So, Crackle is going to result in a lot of turns where the Shaman is like, if I hit the 1 and 4, then I lose the game. If I hit the 3 out of 4, I basically just murder whatever he played. Crackle has some interesting potential to it, and it's nowhere near as random as Lightning Storm, and I've seen people YOLO Lightning Storm. So the RNG effect is a little overstated on this one. 3 to 6 is way better odds than 2 to 3, I'll put it that way. This will most likely kill all the 3/4s. All of them. It will most likely kill Yetis if you have a Spell Power Totem or a, let's see, a 3, 4, 5, 6. So it has a 50% chance to kill a Yeti. And if you have a Spell Power Totem, that goes up to a 3/4 chance to kill a Yeti, same with the 1/1. So 2 of your totems basically make this insane. It's also just way better than Lava Burst in my opinion. You can just throw it to the face, it does way more damage than Lava Burst. Not as consistent, but it costs less and has less overload. On top of that, you can play it as a Wrath. Just play as a Wrath. To be honest, I could see this being played in addition to Lightning Bolt and dropping Rock Biters if you're not running damage combos. If you're not running damage combos, run Crackle and Lightning Bolt, and just run maybe Unbound Elemental, or just run Spell Power, run a Blood Mage. That could really work. I think Rock Biter's still good, but I think Lightning Bolt Crackle may work really, really well together, or maybe Rock Biter Crackle may work really, really well together because you can have a reliable way of killing the 2/3s, which is very important. And this is what I was referring to when Shaman has 15 ways of killing Undertaker. They just do. They have Lightning Bolt, Crackle, Rock Biter, the new Wind Fury guy. They have Earth Shock to silence him, making it almost useless. Spell Power Totem and to just Earth Shock, and they have 15 ways of killing it. They really do. Same with Mech Warper. The Mech Warper doesn't die to Earth Shock, is still 2/2, as opposed to a 1/1, and 2/2 is way more relevant and kills totems. So yeah, they do have a lot of ways of killing those things though, and that's very, very important. Now, I think Crackle is a very, very good card in Arena. It's basically a 2, I mean, you'll take a 2 mana, deal 3, and it could deal more. And the fact is, you're going to have Crackle in situations where it's like, if I get lucky, then I don't have to invest into it. But if I don't get lucky, then it's not too bad, because I can always just kill it with additional resources. I think that's the kind of card this is. I think that's a very, very good card. It's better than Lightning Bolt because it costs 1 more. And Lightning Bolt is good anyway. So, I mean, it's better than Lightning Bolt when you cast it. So, I'm pretty sure this is very good. We'll have to see, though, exactly how good it is. But I'm pretty sure the card is very good. On to another card I'm pretty sure is very good. Steamweedle Sniper. The best name of a card ever, apart from Ogre Ninja. Now, this is a 2 mana, 2/3. I'm noticing a trend here. There's a lot of these things roaming around. Your hero power can target minions. It is an epic to make sure that, 1, you have to craft it for 400, and 2, you're not going to get 1,000,000 of these in Arena because that would break the format in half. So, this is basically a temporary shadow form on wheels. It's like a small Orkanite Soul Priest that can't be used with Circle. It's a pretty small Orkanite. I think this card is ridiculous. First of all, you can play it on turn 2 and then kill their 3-drop with your hero power. That's ridiculous. So you can play it on turn 2. You can play it on turn 4 to just ping something as a Keeper of the Grove. You can play it on turn 4 with Hunter's Mark to kill anything. Hunter's Mark interaction, very powerful. I mean, you can use this in so many ways, and it's amazing what you can do with 2 damage. It really is. It's amazing what you can do with 2 damage. Sometimes all you need is 2 damage, and a 2 damage hero power is worth spending 2 mana on. Especially considering the body itself is very good. If you don't have any 2-drops, you can just play it, which is crazy. Very, very powerful on turn 2. Very powerful on turn 10. It's just an amazing card overall. Works wonders with Hunter's Mark, kind of like Wild Pyromancer does almost. And I think the mid-range Hunter deck is out there. You run Snipers, you run Feign Death, you run Gazarilla, and you just have an absolute ball in terms of just wrecking people. Not to mention, if you're playing a mech deck instead, you're not running the Gazarilla engine and things like that. If you're running a mech deck, you play this as part of your removal package because you don't have access to Kill Command. But what does this do? It means that if you have a bow out and you play this for 4 mana, your bow turns into Gladiator's Bow basically for a turn and deals 5 damage. That's huge. It's so important to be able to augment your hero power in this respect. Sometimes dealing 2 to the face is not that good. and you just want to be dealing 2/2 minions instead, I think it's a very, very good card. Constructed staple. Probably a 1-off in every single Hunter deck, if not a 2-off, we'll have to see. But I think this card is very, very good. Especially in the slower Hunter decks. Very good in Arena as well. On to the last card from this spoiler set. Now, this is the Druid of the Fang, also known as the most confusing card we have seen so far. Not in terms of how it works, but in terms of why it is here. 5 mana 4/4, Druid of the Fang. It's common. Battle Cry. If you have a beast, it's a 7/7. What? Did I miss something here? You know, what I'm expecting is we've already seen 2 other Druid cards. I think it's 2. Yeah, we've seen 2 other Druid cards. Both of those were mechs. What I'm expecting is next set, after this one, next big set, we're going to have a set where every class gets a slight mechanical redesign, and Druids is about beasts. And then there's going to be one random common that synergizes with mechs, because Druid of the Fang was supposed to be in that set and not this set. That's my theory. But this is really weird that it's here. I mean, how many beasts do they really have access to? They have Panther from Power of the Wild, and then that's it. Yep, that's it. They don't have anything else. So they just have no good beasts at all, basically. I mean, if Druid of the Claw turned into a beast when he transformed, then I could maybe see it. But Druid of the Fang is just not it's just not enough incentive. I mean, a 7/7 sounds amazing, and then you realize Big Game Hunter exists, and that means that this card just can't ever be good. So I really don't like it, and not to mention, it looks like it doesn't have that much of a drawback, but it really does, because you have to play beasts in your deck, and that is a drawback. So I really don't like this. I mean, in Hunter, you have only a couple things to synergize with beasts, namely Kill Command, and all people saying, yeah, it's Kill Command, but then you also have Houndmaster, and also a lot of the good cards you have are actually just beasts anyway, like Haunted Creeper and Web Spinner and High Mane. These are just beasts anyway. So you don't really have to worry about the beast count as much. Not to mention you have Animal Companion, which is also a beast, and that's very, very good. You would play it anyway, even if it wasn't for Kill Command. So Hunter has good beasts, so they can therefore play the good beast synergy cards. Druid does not have good beasts, so they can't play the beast synergy cards. Not to mention, this is not enough incentive to play beasts. So unless we see some more beast synergy, and then another beast in Druid, I don't really see this card at all, and I think that this is in a weird set. I mean, I will say that if the next set they release has a couple beasts in it for Druid, and then a couple more beast synergy cards, good. I think that's fine. Druid should be able to synergize with beasts based on their lore. They're very, very nature-based and things like that, not just trees, beasts included. So I think that that'd be fine, having beast synergies in Druid, that makes sense. But this is a weird card to have in this particular set, unless we see some radically different things in the rest of the cards for Druid. But overall, I just think this is in a really, really weird place. By the way, so out of the 14 cards we saw for today, the couple that we're looking at here as the major ones are obviously the 3 Hunter ones, Gazrilla, and then we've got the Steamweedle Sniper here, and then Feign Death. These are all very, very good cards. We've got a couple of really bad cards this week now I think about it. Not that many good ones. There was just 3 good Hunter ones, and a couple of okay cards. Crackle, pretty good. Little Exorcist, pretty good. Scarlet Purifier, pretty good. Sabotage, bad. Demon Heart, not that good. Steamweedle Shaman, not that good. Ogre Ninja, I've got a feeling about it, but I don't know. Bad, good, and then obviously the 2 drops with good stats are good. But basically, from this particular week, we've got the 3 Hunter cards that were very, very, very good and are worth looking out for. And the rest, which kind of a mix of good cards and kind of meh cards. So we'll have to see what comes out of the vote from Bolivar and Morganis, and then we'll have to see when Goblins and Gnomes actually comes out. If it comes out on Tuesday, I would not be shocked, but it'd be interesting. I actually think that there's 2 release dates that I'm expecting. It's either the 2nd/3rd, which is Tuesday, or it is the 9th/10th, which is a week from now. I'm not really sure which one they go for. I think 9th is more likely, but I would not be shocked if it was on Tuesday. All I know is that I have currently got someone waiting to be on set review with me. It's actually Jumpy. He used to be on Icebreakers. He's on Vega Squadron now. And he'll be coming on for that, and he'll be going through the entire set with me, and it's going to take forever, but it'll be a lot of fun, and I should imagine that people who like long videos are going to like that particular set of videos. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback, put it in the comment section below. As for now, this has been Jotto, signing off.